Welcome to Storybrooke Kids Stories, where every story is an adventure filled with positivity, kindness, and big dreams. Here, we share fun and inspiring tales to help young hearts grow, learn, and feel encouraged. All of our stories have two versions, one for daytime enjoyment and a quieter version for bedtime. If you love these uplifting stories, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a new story. Thanks for being part of the Storybrooke Kids Stories family. Let's spread kindness together, one story at a time. The morning after the biggest snowfall of the year, Pine Ridge Park looked like it had been dipped in vanilla frosting. Fresh snow covered every surface, transforming the familiar playground into a winter wonderland. The park was divided by a small hill, and on this particular morning, two groups of kids stood on opposite sides, eyeing each other across the snowy expanse. On the north side, Marcus, Elena, and Jack had already begun packing snow into bricks for their fort. Marcus, wearing his lucky blue winter hat, was the architect of the group. At 12, he had spent countless hours studying pictures of real snow fortifications online and was determined to build the perfect snow fortress. If we pack the snow tight enough, he explained to his friends, demonstrating the technique, these blocks will be super strong. We'll have the best fort this park has ever seen. Elena, her dark braids peeking out from under a woolen cap, nodded seriously as she copied Marcus's technique. At 11, she was the group's strategic planner, already mapping out defensive positions in her mind. Jack, the youngest at 10, bounced around excitedly, his orange snow pants making him look like a jumping flame against the white landscape. Meanwhile, on the south side of the hill, another group was hard at work. Sarah, whose red mittens matched her determination, directed her friends Kai and Maya in laying out the foundation of their own snow fort. At 12, Sarah had natural leadership abilities and a competitive streak that made her determined to outdo the north side crew. Our fort needs to be bigger and better than theirs, she declared, sketching a design in the snow with a stick. Maya, you're the tallest. You work on the upper walls. Kai, you're great at packing snow. You handle the foundation. Maya adjusted her purple-rimmed glasses and nodded, while Kai, bundled up in so many layers he could barely move his arms, gave a thumbs up. Both were 11 and shared Sarah's determination to build something amazing. The morning progressed with both teams working diligently on their respective fortifications. Marcus's team focused on strength and structure, building thick walls with carefully packed snow bricks. Sarah's team went for size and complexity, adding multiple rooms and even attempting to build a snow tower. As the kids worked, other children from the neighborhood began arriving at the park. They naturally split between the two forts, some drawn to Marcus's architectural precision, others attracted to Sarah's ambitious design. Soon, what had started as two 3-person teams had grown into two larger groups, each working together to create their ultimate snow fortress. By lunchtime, both forts were taking impressive shape. The North Fort, under Marcus's direction, had become a compact but extremely solid structure with walls thick enough to withstand any snowball assault. They had even created narrow windows for launching snowballs and a clever system of snow blocks that could be quickly repaired if damaged. The South Fort, meanwhile, had grown into a sprawling complex with multiple chambers and a partially completed tower. Sarah had organized her expanded team into specialized groups. Some kids packed snow, others transported the blocks, and a few worked on decorative elements like a snow flag flying from the highest point. As the kids ate their packed lunches, they couldn't help but size up the competition across the hill. Despite their rivalry, there was also a growing sense of admiration for each other's work. Their tower is pretty cool, Jack admitted between bites of his sandwich. Yeah, but our walls are way stronger, Elena replied, though she was clearly impressed by the South team's creativity. Over on the south side, similar conversations were taking place. Their fort looks really solid, Maya observed, adjusting her glasses for a better look. But ours is bigger, Kai pointed out proudly, though he couldn't help but admire the precise engineering of the North team's walls. As the afternoon began, dark clouds started gathering in the distance. At first, no one paid much attention, too focused on their construction projects. But when the wind began picking up, carrying loose snow in swirling eddies across the park, both teams started to worry. Marcus was the first to notice the weather report on his phone. "Guys," he called out to his team, "there's a big storm coming. The forecast says it could bring another foot of snow and strong winds." On the south side, Sarah had received the same alert. She gathered her team for an emergency meeting. "This storm could destroy everything we've built," she said, looking worried. "We need to either fortify everything or—" Before she could finish her thought, a strong gust of wind knocked over their partially completed tower, sending snow blocks tumbling down. At the same time, they could hear shouts from the North Fort as one of their walls developed a dangerous crack from the increasing wind. The kids watched in dismay as their carefully constructed fortifications began to show signs of stress from the weather. Another strong gust sent loose snow swirling between the forts, temporarily obscuring the team's view of each other. When the snow settled, Marcus was standing halfway up the hill, waving to get Sarah's attention. Sarah hesitated for a moment, then walked up to meet him at the halfway point. "This storm is going to destroy both our forts," Marcus said without preamble. Sarah nodded grimly. Unless we work together," they both said simultaneously, then looked at each other in surprise. "Your team is great at building strong walls," Sarah offered. "And your team has amazing ideas for design," Marcus replied. They smiled at each other, previous rivalry forgotten in the face of their common challenge. "Should we unite our forces?" Marcus asked, extending his hand. "For the greatest snow fort ever?" Sarah grinned, shaking his hand. The next few minutes were spent gathering all the kids together and explaining the new plan. There was some initial hesitation. After all, they'd spent the whole morning as rivals. But as another gust of wind rattled both forts, everyone quickly warmed to the idea of collaboration. "We need to pick the best location first," Marcus said, looking around the park. "Somewhere sheltered from the wind." "There," Elena pointed to a spot near some evergreen trees. "The trees will help block the wind, and we can use their branches as natural support." "Good thinking," Sarah agreed. "Maya, you're good at planning spaces. Can you help figure out how big we can make it?" Maya quickly calculated the available space, while Kai organized teams to carefully dismantle the existing forts and transport the snow blocks to the new location. Jack's endless energy proved perfect for running messages between working groups, while Elena helped coordinate the movement of materials. As the wind continued to pick up and the sky grew darker, the kids worked together with incredible efficiency. Marcus and Sarah's different leadership styles complemented each other perfectly. His attention to structural detail, combining with her creative vision to create something better than either could have managed alone. The new fort took shape quickly. They used Marcus's technique for packing super strong snow blocks, but incorporated Sarah's ideas for multiple chambers. Maya suggested creating a curved wall design that would better deflect the wind, while Kai developed a method of reinforcing the walls by packing loose snow into any gaps. Elena organized the younger kids into a supply chain, passing snow blocks from person to person like a well-oiled machine. Jack's enthusiasm kept everyone's spirits up, especially when tired arms and cold fingers made the work challenging. As the first snowflakes from the approaching storm began to fall, the united team worked even faster. They added reinforcements to the walls, created a strong roof supported by packed snow columns, and even managed to incorporate a lookout tower that was far sturdier than the previous attempt. Just as the storm really began to pick up, they put the finishing touches on their creation. The result was magnificent. A snow fort that was both beautiful and incredibly strong, with thick walls that could withstand the wind, multiple entrances, defensive positions, and even some decorative elements that combined the best ideas from both original teams. "Quick!" Sarah called out as the snowfall intensified. "Everyone inside!" The entire group crowded into their new fortress, and not a moment too soon. The storm hit in full force, with wind howling through the trees and snow falling in thick curtains. But inside their fort, the kids were warm and cozy, protected by the sturdy walls they had built together. "This is amazing," Jack said in awe, looking around at their creation. "It's like a real ice castle." "Better than either of our original forts," Marcus agreed, sharing a smile with Sarah. As the storm raged outside, the formerly rival teams got to know each other better. They shared snacks, told stories, and marveled at how their combined efforts had created something so spectacular. The fort was easily big enough to accommodate everyone comfortably, with different chambers for sitting and talking, storing their backpacks, and even a special lookout post where they could safely watch the storm. After about an hour, the storm began to ease. When they finally ventured outside, they found the park transformed once again by a fresh layer of snow. Their fort stood proud and strong, barely touched by the storm that had threatened to destroy their separate creations. "You know what this means?" Sarah said, a mischievous glint in her eye as she bent down to scoop up some fresh snow. "Snowball fight!" Everyone shouted in unison, but this time, instead of north versus south, they divided into new teams, mixing up the original groups. Marcus and Maya ended up leading one team, while Sarah and Elena led the other. The fort became the centerpiece of an epic battle, with kids ducking in and out of different entrances, using the defensive positions they had built together, and filling the air with laughter and flying snowballs. The afternoon turned into one of the most memorable winter days any of them had ever experienced. Parents walking by stopped to take pictures of the impressive snow fort, and younger kids from the neighborhood gathered to watch the exciting battle in progress. As the winter sun began to set, painting the snow in shades of pink and orange, the kids finally called a truce. They were tired, cold, and ready for hot chocolate, but immensely proud of what they had accomplished together. "We should do this again tomorrow," Jack suggested, brushing snow off his orange snow pants. "Definitely," Sarah agreed. "But this time, let's start as one team." "One team is better," Marcus nodded. "We can build something even more amazing." The kids made plans to meet the next day, already buzzing with ideas for new improvements to their fort. As they gathered their things to head home, Elena pointed out something interesting. "Look," she said, "from up here on the hill, you can see both spots where our original fort stood. All that work we did separately, and in the end, working together made something so much better." The others gathered around, looking where she pointed. The outlines of their morning's work were still barely visible under the new snow, but their united creation stood tall and proud nearby, a testament to what they could achieve together. "Maybe that's the best part of today," Maya said thoughtfully. "Not just building an awesome fort, but learning that we're all better as friends than competitors." As they walked home that evening, the kids were already excitedly planning future projects together. The park would never be quite the same. Not because of the magnificent snow fort they had built, but because of the friendships that had been forged in its creation. The next day, the fort became the center of activity for all the neighborhood kids. Some came to admire the architecture, others to participate in friendly snowball fights, but everyone was welcomed equally. Marcus and Sarah's teams had become one large group of friends, and their fort became known as the Great Snow Fort Alliance, a symbol of how working together always beats working against each other. Throughout the rest of the winter, the kids maintained and improved their fort, adding new features and reinforcing walls as needed. When the spring finally came and the fort began to melt, no one was sad. They had their memories, their photographs, and most importantly, their new friendships. And they all knew that next winter, they would build something even more amazing. Together, from the very start. The end?